Hello.
Welcome back to another episode of Bariatric Banter podcast.
I don't know what number it is, but that's awesome.
Right?
21, maybe?
21? 21.
22?
21.
Yeah.
Yep. Again, we
Alright.
could probably look this
I have
up
to keep
before we
like a little
record,
counter or something on my desk.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 21. Episode 21, which is really exciting. I loved our last episode. I think a lot of people really
I
kind of
did too.
enjoyed it.
I
I had
did
a
too.
lot of good messages of support for
Good.
dating, which is great. And we've had an influx of people messaging us lately that they have
Yeah.
found our podcast, they love it, they like listening. So welcome to all of our new listeners and to everybody returning. We love you guys equally as much.
Yeah.
So welcome to
And
episode 21.
our last couple I've really liked, I
Me
have to
too.
say.
We've kind of found our stride.
I was gonna say, I think we got into like a good groove with topics, and I think I don't know if it's too because I feel like the last couple topics have been more on the vulnerable side. I think that's just what people want. Like we want we want the juicy tidbits. We like the drama, the juicy, um, the vulnerable stuff. But I think it's good for the listeners, but I think it's also good for us to talk about that kind of stuff too. So I've enjoyed the last few for sure.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Me too. And this one's going to be a good one.
Mhm.
So this one's a okay. We say this every week. One that we always talk about, but this one is actually one that I think about often,
Mhm.
and I had just talked to someone about. But this week we want to talk about what life is like
Yeah.
in a smaller body. I think we talk about loose skin and we talk about obesity and we talk
Mhm.
about like how we feel physically after losing weight and
Right.
all that. But I think one thing we don't necessarily talk about is less about how we feel and more
Mhm.
about how we are now treated and what
Right.
life is like living in a
Yep.
smaller, skinnier body, because I
Yeah.
think we're now perceived as skinnier, right?
And
So
I think everybody assumes it's gonna be all sunshine and roses and smiles once you become skinnier and that everything's just gonna be great. And not that there aren't great things, but I think there's certain things that unless you've gone from one to the other, maybe you don't think about or you haven't experienced before. The jarring
yeah.
difference between the 2.
Yeah, and I think is it is it awesome? It is. There's definitely moments. Is there kind of like this weird period where you're like, this is both cool and I'm kind of sad about these
Mhm.
realizations? Yes. Is there a creepy part of it too? Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a part where like there's definitely been a few times where I'm like, oh, real fucking sketched out now. Like I
Yep.
used to joke to my mom, like, oh, you don't have to worry about me. They don't kidnap the fat kid,
Nobody's gonna
like
take me.
can't pick me up, so they're not,
Yep.
I'm not gonna be the
Same.
one stolen,
Yeah.
and that's not funny. I get it. Human trafficking is a huge problem, but we're not trying to make light of that. It's
We
just that,
didn't
like,
have
I
things
never
well, yeah, there were
worried
certain things
about.
that just didn't cross our mind.
No, and,
Yeah.
like, sexual harassment's a horrible thing, and it doesn't really discriminate, but it kind of does because I also never
Never
worried about
worried about I was just about to say I never worried
never
about it.
worried
It
about being sexually
it
assaulted
didn't
or
no,
harassed,
it
um,
rarely would cross my mind, but I think
not
we
that
be
it doesn't happen.
right.
But especially at, like, work, I think
Yeah.
is a great place to start. I never and I we work in tech, Steph and tech is notoriously misogynistic and,
Bro club.
um, full of sexual harassment and sexual assault, which, like, that needs to be addressed. But
Yeah.
never once in my life was I concerned about sexual harassment at work,
No.
ever.
I remember working at a certain workplace, and there was always always Hannah knows exactly where I'm
I
going.
know.
There was always Christmas party, post-Christmas party drama. Every year, there was always HR issues. Somebody get fired for inappropriateness. Somebody got this. And I was always so oblivious to it. I was like, "What? What
Me
happened?"
too.
I had no idea, and I would come to work, and everybody would be talking about it, and I was so oblivious to any of it. I was like, "Oh, I guess I
Okay,
had no
and it's
idea."
really funny you said it like that because now what I'm about to say is gonna be, like, the weirdest thing, but I didn't even know about it.
Yeah.
Not that, like, I felt like I should have been invited to the party to watch this happen or anything, but it's like, I didn't even know because 'cause
No,
I'm not even in that
no.
circle
I
that
would
had
come to work the next day and there was all, like, the whispers and the panic and the drama and so and so was fired, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" They're like, "Oh,
yes, they
at the
showed up
party,
at the
he was
party
going
and stuff,
he was
and
they were going around and touching all these people and da da," and I was like, "Oh, I had no okay, not a clue."
and it's not like we're saying, "Oh, well, I wasn't touched, so
No,
thanks so
but just,
much."
like,
But, like,
not even on the radar.
we're not in that room, that conversation, that
No,
vicinity, right? So, like, I never had a bubble or a filter up where I felt anything was
no,
because also, like, before, and I promise we'll talk about the after because we're too much on the before, but, like, before, nobody really flirted with me or
no.
paid much attention or pursued me. I'm
Yeah,
sure there was, like, the 1 or 2 random times that I just wasn't aware because
right.
at a certain point, you just shut that off completely
Well,
and
you're
you
not used to it. You don't even know
don't know
how
it,
to notice it, right? And, like, I remember my friends be like, "Let's go dancing, let's go to the bar." And I was like, "Oh, why?" So
right?
that I can go and sit there and watch you guys all get hit on while I stand in the corner, like, have you guys have all
Hold
your
your
drinks bought
purses.
for you while I hold the yeah, exactly. I'll hold your jacket while you like, it was
Yep.
just never it was never a thing that
Nope.
crossed your mind, and now that things are
Resolved.
switching, you become
Mhm.
very acutely aware
Oh,
of
yes.
people looking at
Everything.
you versus or looking at you differently or not looking at you.
Mhm.
Um, normally, that's the weird one I think for me is have knowing and feeling in the past people looking at you
Yeah.
because of your weight,
Yes.
to now where they don't even seem to notice you because you're quote
Okay.
unquote normal. Like when
Okay.
we just
Okay.
traveled, right? I remember when I would board an airplane or get on an airplane and people would see like, "Oh god, is she gonna sit beside me?" And as you would, like, come to the seat, like, people's eyes or if, like, Devin and I
Okay.
sat together and I had to sit beside somebody, you could see the look on certain people's faces when they'd be like, "Oh, I have to sit beside the fat girl," right? Whereas now that Devin and the girls sat together and I sat by myself on the other side,
Yeah.
and it was so I mean, it was nerve-wracking for me because I had never sat by myself.
Mhm.
I had always squished into the corner, like, it with all of that kind of flying for the first time as having lost weight was very exciting but nervous. But the fact that both times people didn't seem to care that I was sitting beside them, and I kept, like, waiting for the lean where they would lean away from me or,
Oh,
like,
the
the look of, like,
lean.
you know? And both times, nobody seemed to care. And I was like, "Oh, this is interesting." Like, nobody gives a shit. Hmm.
Huh.
Yeah, it was kind of the opposite where nobody notices you.
Yeah, and okay, so I see where you're coming from. I think slightly I agree now. Give it time. Let's chat
Yeah.
again when you're now that I'm 2 years post-op.
Yep.
Yes, kind of. I feel like there's more attention now, and that's
Yep.
kind of unnerving for me. I think in what you're describing, I do see. I'm not looked at the same way.
Yeah.
So it's less like disdain and judgment that
Yeah.
I see in people's eyes, and it's more just an acknowledgement of another human being.
Right. It's
So
not the
in
look
that
of
sense,
disappointment or
yeah.
like, "Ugh." It's just, "Okay,
Yeah.
you're
So in
there."
that sense, it is invisible as in like the judgment has gone.
Yeah.
But I would say before when I was obese, and I didn't you don't know it when you're in it, by the way. You don't. You can't. But now looking back, like I was definitely the invisible person, like
Mhm.
not being flirted with, not being hit on, not
Yep.
being looked at.
Yep.
Even just how people interacted with you was
Mhm.
shorter, curter,
Yep.
um, kind of preconceived notions and judgments already creeping in. Little
Yep.
things like not holding the
I
door
was
for
just about to say, do
you.
you notice that people will wait? I have people now, like,
Mhm.
if I was going into the store and I was a couple feet in front of somebody, they
Yeah,
wouldn't wait for me to hold the door. They would kinda look at me and be like, "Oh, she'll be a while," is what I
yeah,
assumed they thought in their head, right? And they'd shut the door. But now I notice people will wait that extra, 8 or 9 feet for me to get there, and they
yeah,
won't wait for me to hold the door open. That
yep.
never happened before.
No, and so I do notice that now. They'll hold the door, they're more kind of polite and friendly to you.
Smiles in
Not
public.
that they were mean to you
No.
before, but it's almost as if you didn't exist and they didn't really wanna talk to you or interact with you. They kinda just wanted to avoid you,
Yeah.
for no other reason than you're fat. But now it's the attention. Like, everywhere I go,
Yeah.
that's to me what's the craziest change. Now, there
Mhm.
were definitely times where I was really excited about it, like when I first got flirted with out in
Right.
public, and I was like, "Holy shit, it's
Hello.
and I remember thinking, like, "It's great." And then the 2nd and 3rd and 4th and 5th time it happened, and it's all from people I am not interested in having that interaction with, and it
No,
got
thank you, sir.
weird. And I remember being at the dollar store one day with my brother, we were just running in to grab Tupperware 'cause,
Yeah.
we had, like, leftover food at home or something. We just got back from, like, his birthday dinner, and we ran in quickly to get something, and this guy was just going on and on about, like, "You look so pretty, and you
Oh,
look so nice, and you must have been at a dinner," and, like, I'm just doing my usual, like,
just
"Yeah."
trying to get Tupperware, buddy.
And I remember we left, and my brother was like, "Jesus fucking Christ, that guy was rapey." And I was like, "Okay, like, I
Yep.
get what you mean." But he's like, "That was just insane." And I was like, "Yeah, actually it was." Like, that was the first time I realized I'm no longer 325
Right.
pounds, like, and I know I shouldn't have ignored it or not had a fear then,
Yep.
but, like, I became very aware of, like, you are a thin
Mhm.
woman now out on your own
Right.
with way more male attention on you than you've ever had
'Cause
before.
you're now considered a desirable
You're
object
now
versus
attractive
yeah,
to a
like,
lot more people than you were
I get
before.
a lot more smile like, even at the grocery store, a lot more eye contact, a lot
Eye
more, like,
contact.
just smiles from people when you go past them,
Yep.
um, just more feeling seen than
Yeah.
not.
Which, like, at the beginning is great, and then it definitely takes a turn where you're like, "Wow, my world just got much smaller and scarier kind of all at
Mhm.
once." Like, the likelihood like, and it does happen, I'm not sa like, being obese, you definitely get sexually assaulted and abused because people kinda treat us like we're not humans, like, it
Right.
does happen, but the pool of people that were gonna do that to me was infinitely smaller.
Yes.
Now that I've lost 160 plus pounds, that pool has like quadrupled overnight. And it has kind of made me feel a bit uncomfortable because
Mhm.
I used to love to go to like this little nature park by my house. And I'm not going to name the name, there's a bunch near me. But
Yeah.
I used to go to like little parks and walkways
Yeah.
and stuff even before I had Bo. And I would just go for a walk. And I remember
Yeah.
my mom being like, "Oh, be careful." And I was like, "The
You're
fuck do I have to be
fine.
careful about? Like, fuck off. I'm fine." It probably wasn't great for me to think that way.
But
Now I
yeah.
go and I am very acutely aware that, like, one time I was out, thank God I had Bo,
Yep.
I passed 3 individual men,
Yep.
not related, but 3 times, 3 random individual men walking literally by themselves, which men are allowed to exercise, but all of them were in jeans and, like, hooded sweaters, and I
Oh.
was like, "We're on a
Mm.
nature path
Yeah.
where, like, most of us are wearing sneakers and leggings, athletic shorts, a t-shirt, a hat, like, we're out exercising," and I've now passed 3 men that I'm hyper critically scared of,
Right.
'cause they make the eye contact and they're
Yeah.
smiling at you, and it's like,
Right?
I don't
You're
want this
so much
attention.
more
Like, I
aware.
don't want this attention.
No.
So,
You're so
it's
much
not
you're just more aware of I
yeah,
think, like, I pay more attention to what's around me and who's out there, because before it was just like you said, it was just so back of my mind, like, I never not that I never worried about it, but I just was so like, "Oh, that would never happen. Who's gonna look at her and be like, 'Oh, that's somebody I want?'" Like, it's a different world for sure, and it's also I mean, like you said at the beginning, it's kinda nice to have all that extra attention and have all those extra eyes on you, and it feels good, but it's also sad, like, to think of what people's perception are of you now and how quickly that can change and the level of
yeah,
judgment because it's people I'm talking a lot about people that are complete strangers,
yes,
um, and the judgment people make of you in an instant simply based on your physical appearance and
yeah,
how drastic the changes
yep,
over
and
just
I'm
that
like,
one thing.
people weren't being mean to us, like, I do wanna
No,
stress
no,
that.
no.
This is a bubble that will burst for you
Yep.
after you've lost weight, because I used to say, like, "I'm not treated badly." I don't understand these comments of people being like, "Boy, we treat fat people bad." I was like, "I don't know, I'm treated well, nobody
Right.
harasses me, nobody yells at me, like, I'm treated fine."
Yeah.
And then I lost
You're
160
like, "Wait a
fucking
second."
pounds, and I was like, "Oh, I was treated adequately."
Yep.
and now I'm treated with what I imagine everyone who wasn't fat has been
Right.
treated their whole life, which is like super nice, super polite,
Mhm.
opportunity. Like I even feel like work is different. I've moved to several different companies since surgery, but I think I mean, I honestly feel like I have more opportunities open to me to get jobs. I'm treated differently. I think
Yeah.
my like authoritativeness and stuff like comes across
Mhm.
differently now where I don't have to be jovial and fat and
Right? Because if
um
you're fat, you're perceived lazy. End of
yeah,
period. End of
yeah,
discussion, right? "Oh, look at
yep,
them," right? And it trickles
yeah,
into
oh
everything.
yeah,
You
it
just
does.
must be a lazy person, period.
So, yeah, it's not that but there will be a moment where the bubble bursts, and
Yeah.
that's what I meant earlier in the episode where I'm like, it's both like, I'm not gonna lie, there's a good aspect of it where
Mhm.
you're like, I don't wanna mourn it too much because I kind of really like how I'm being treated now,
Right.
but there will be a moment where you're like, "This is kind of fucked up." And it's
Yeah.
weird because 'cause you're like, "I don't know why it's fucked up, and I can't really articulate why it's fucked up, but it's kind of fucked up."
Yeah. I think it's sad, I really do. I think because and the fact that you're so used to it being your norm when
Mhm.
you're obese and overweight that you just become accustomed to it and it becomes okay
Yeah.
to be treated like that and for that to be your normal.
To just be in the background, to be
Yeah.
that background person where you don't stand out and
Yep, you
you
don't
almost you do it to yourself to an extent. You don't want to stand out. You don't wanna be at the front of photos. You don't
yeah.
wanna have
You
because
just get
there's
so used to it also, right? That it just becomes
yeah,
habit. Like, it literally would be my habit when a camera came out to step behind people and
I
to go to
always
the
sit
back
behind
row.
people.
I would
Yeah,
never even it never even occurred to me to go
in the
to the
front.
front or
Mhm,
even, like, shopping. You walk into a store and none of the sales associates so if you've never shopped for plus size clothes, they're always at the
mhm,
back. There's
mhm,
always a section at the back. And, like, walking into a store, and none of the sales associates at the front of the store would even acknowledge you. They
mhm,
don't look at you, they don't make eye contact, they just because they immediately know, "Oh, she's going to the back."
mhm.
And now you walk into the store, and as soon as you open the door, the
Immediate
smile,
attention.
"Hello, can I help you? How are you?"
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
that has one that I have
It's different like,
definitely noticed right off the bat.
we haven't even talked about clothing, which is kind of fucked up as well, where, okay, you got a smaller body now.
Mhm.
Several thoughts on this one. The amount of times that I take big fucking clothing
Oh
into
my
my
god, I
changing
did it
room.
while we were on vacation buying a
Same
sweater.
here. You saw I was picking out a dress for the wedding
Yeah.
I'm going to,
Yep.
and I kept going into the change room,
Yep.
pulling in 10s and 12s, and my friend who was with me was like, "These do not look great." And I was like, "Well,
Yep.
we could get them tailored or something." She's like, These just don't fit you." And I was like,
Try
"First of
again.
all, my boobs have shrunk, and that kind of fucking
Oh
sucks." I'm just
god,
like,
yep.
"I got itty
It's
bitty
big.
titties now, like, what the fuck?"
Yeah.
So I was like, Look at these flapjack things." So I was a little annoyed about that because
Yep.
I did not fit well in the chesticle area, but I kept pulling them in, and she's like, "I'm getting you an 8." And I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be tight, and I'm gonna look terrible."
Mhm.
8s fit great. And the annoying thing about clothes shopping that came to fruition on this one was A, they're super fucking attentive to you now. "Hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
How you doing? Want me to bring anything? Oh, that looks so good. Come on out. We wanna see it." Like, they want you to model it and walk around the floor, and,
Mhm.
um, I was coming out and taking pictures and, like, having a great time, and
Yeah.
I was laughing about how good it fit and blah, 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 and I was complaining because there was a dress there I wanted that they
Yep.
did not have in an 8. They only had it in a goddamn 4, and I was like, "But it's so great, and I think it would be perfect," and
Mhm.
my friend was like, "Well, you should just try it on to see if it actually looks good on you, and then we could
Right.
order you the 8." And I was like, "Are you, like,
Yep.
insane? Like, are you listening to me?" Because when you're obese, the difference in sizes
Ugh,
is huge, and I don't mean that insultingly. I mean, literally,
it
if
is.
you're like a 2XL, you're not squeezing in to a
Go
0.
oh,
Like, it's just not
for
happening.
that, no,
Like, you if
no,
it's just not gonna happen. She's like,
no.
"Well, we'll just pull it up. We'll leave the back open, and we'll see if it fits." We pulled it on,
Yep.
and I basically got the zipper almost
Right?
up, and,
Yeah.
like, now, still didn't
Yeah,
close once it
but
got to the shoulder
definitely
area,
not to the extent of
but I
plus
just
size
kinda stood
difference.
there and was like, so I could probably wear a 6 in this dress if it was here. Like, it
Right.
was so surreal, and she just kinda looked at me, and I was like, "I'm pissed off about this, just
Yeah,
so you know. This
right?
is this is insane. This is why people have fucking issues." Like, I'm trying on 8s, and I'm standing here, and I'll post this on Instagram, in a 4,
Yeah.
and it kinda went up, and then just I couldn't get it over the shoulder blades
Which
closed, and I was
makes no
and she's
sense.
like, "Don't ruin the day," and I was like, "I can't help it. This is so infuriating."
Yeah,
Like, and
it is.
I can't really articulate why I'm so angry, but I was really upset about that,
Yep.
and then I felt really bad 'cause here I am complaining about how stupid this is, and this lovely woman comes out of the stall beside us, and she goes, "Can you guys help me zip this up?" And we said, "Yeah, of course."
Yeah.
She looked fucking stunning in this beautiful black dress with, like, this open frilly, like, off the
Nice.
shoulder, and, she just had no one with her, so we
Yeah.
helped her zip it up. So I held it in, Michaela zipped it, and she was like, "Oh, yeah, I guess I should order a bigger size. It takes 2 of you guys to get me into this." And we both stopped and went, "Are you fucking kidding? You look stunning in this
Amazing.
dress." She's
Yeah.
like, "Well, it's a size 16, and I shouldn't be wearing it, and I'm gonna need
Uh-huh.
to get a bigger size." And we said, "Go look in the you stop that right
Yeah.
now." I said,
Look at
"Go
the
look in
mirror.
the mirror." I said,
Yeah.
"Look how good this looks on you." I said, "Who cares?" I had to have her help me zip it up,
Right.
but I could see I
So
I
much of
almost wanted to
yourself.
cry
Yeah.
because that's what it would be like. If
Right.
my mom had to help me zip a dress up, I would immediately shut
Game
down.
over.
I'd get super
Yep.
I'm getting so emotional. I'd get so
Yeah.
cranky, and I'd go, "I don't wanna be here anymore. I wanna go
No,
home,"
it
because
ruins
in my mind
everything.
I shouldn't need help zipping up a dress,
No.
and I coulda cried for her because here I am bitching about a size 4 like a fucking asshole, and, she's over here probably not wanting to come out of the change room.
All by
She looked
herself,
gorgeous. She looked
but she
so
can't see it
good
because she's
in
so
this dress.
fixated on the
Yeah,
zipper.
and I was
Yeah.
like, "Dress zippers are bullshit, just so you
Right?
know. They're so fucking hard to zip up, and some have buttons and blah, 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 blah." I
Mhm,
was
and
like,
they're
"Girl,
cheap ass quality
like"
zippers.
Yes, get the
Yeah,
dress. So, she
right?
did get the dress, and I'm
Good.
so happy she did, but I just like, it was
Yeah.
so weird, and even my friend after was like, "Weird experience for you?" And I was like,
Yeah.
I felt so angry for her because she looked beautiful.
Yeah,
She
and
looked
couldn't see it.
beautiful, and
Yeah,
all she could focus
but
on was a size, and then
it's
there's
that
me.
habit, right?
Yeah,
And how it gets so ingrained in your head.
it was
We
so
went
bad.
I wanted to buy a sweater when we were on our trip, and I looked at it a few times,
It's
and
so
I was
cute.
like, right? I love it. And I debated, and then finally I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go buy it."
Yep.
But my first instinct when I went into the store was, "Ooh, I really like that color. They won't have my size." That like right off the bat, because it's a
Mhm.
standard souvenir shop. They're not gonna carry
Mhm.
plus size. And then it took me a minute and I was like, "Shit. Okay, Steph, you don't wear a 2 or a 3X anymore. Like, stop
Correct.
for a second.
Mhm.
Chill out." So I went and we looked and I went through and I immediately went to the back.
Oh,
'Cause you
no.
always go to the back of the rack to
Always
find the
go to the
biggest
back.
size.
Yep.
And then I took the large and I had like a t-shirt and a tank top on and they had a little fitting room. So I went in, I put it on and I came out and I thought it was fine. I was like,
Yep.
"Yep, I've been wearing a large. It's all good." And Devin looks at me and goes, "It's too big." And I was like, "No," I was like, "I want it a little bit baggy because it's like a
Yeah.
sweatshirt. Like I want to be warm and cozy and comfy." And he goes, "Steph, it's too big." And I looked at him, I said, "Devin, no, it's not." And he looks at me, he goes, "Steph, you've lost 100 pounds.
Yeah.
It's too big." And he started pulling at it and he's like, and he was like pulling at something and he looks at me and goes, "It's not there anymore." And I was
Aw.
like, "Okay, fine." So he goes, "Just try on a medium." And I went over and the whole time like it's not gonna fit. I don't want to put it on because then I'm gonna be discouraged that I couldn't fit into the medium and it's gonna be too
Yep.
tight.
Gonna ruin the day.
And the whole time I'm in there switching, I'm just mumbling to him outside the door. And I was like, "This is stupid. I'm just gonna buy the large. I'm not gonna." And as I'm mumbling, I'm not paying attention and I put it on and it fits like perfect. And it still has room and it's still baggy. And I stood there for a minute and I was like, "Holy shit."
Mhm.
First of all, I just put on a medium. First of all, right?
So
Yeah.
exciting.
And
So
so I
fucking
opened it up
exciting.
and I looked at him and he looks at me and he goes, It's still a little baggy." I was like, first of all, I'm not going past a medium.
No,
Second of
we're
all,
taking it.
yeah, I'm like, second of all, I was like, okay, it's got room, but it's still fitted. It's not like baggy. But it literally, like, I had to stand there for a good couple minutes. And he came around the corner. He's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I just need a minute." And
Yeah.
he's like, "What?" I'm like, "I just need a minute." But it's true, like, you get so fixated on the
Yep.
old self and the fact that, like, when he said, he's like, "Steph, it's not there anymore. And at first I was like, "What?" And he's like, "The fat is not there anymore." He's like, "You don't have to cover like, stop covering things." And I was like, "Oh, shit." And then
Right.
the fact that yeah, like, the fact that I could grab off the rack, that I could
Off
put
the
a
rack.
medium on and
Mhm.
still have it cover everything that I wanted covered,
Mhm.
but that mental that mental shift of your body is not the same, and the space
Correct.
that you used to take up, you don't take up anymore,
Yep.
and
And it's like,
hard to get it's hard to see
to switch your mentality.
yeah, and to see the new version of yourself and the new space you take up or don't take up is
I
very
think
hard to wrap your head around.
I think there's a fear as well.
Yeah,
I would say, like, from I went through what you went through at that time frame,
yeah,
and, like, it gets really fun. Like, you're actually about to hit the peak fun. There's
yeah.
a bell curve, you're about to hit the peak fun where you're like,
I
"Holy
actually
fucking
want to
shit,
shop
I
now.
can go to every like, and it's
Right.
awesome. Like, oh my god, the fun and the joy that you have,
Uh-huh.
especially when you go to put something on now and you're like, "Ah, I need a smaller size. I'm so
Right?
pumped." And then I think you hit a curve where
Yeah.
everything that goes up comes down,
Yep.
where there's now a fear.
Right.
And it's almost like I feel like I shouldn't have been happy and
Mhm.
I shouldn't have been joyful because I'm gonna lose it all. And I'm working on this in therapy. Go to therapy, people, it's amazing.
Yep.
But I'm working on this, like, humongous fear that I shouldn't have shared all this information and rubbed it in. I wasn't rubbing it in anyone's face, but this is what goes through my
You
mind.
feel like
I
yeah,
shouldn't have shared any of these thoughts. I shouldn't have rubbed
shouldn't have
this in people's
flaunted it.
faces.
Yep.
I shouldn't get used to this
Yep.
because it's all gonna go away. It's
Right.
all gonna disappear and I'm gonna go back to being fat again. And what a horrible trick to play on me to show me what life could be like, and it's gonna go away. And it's not. I take
Right.
very good, decent steps to make sure it doesn't, but
Yes.
there is a fear that kind of all of a sudden comes because there is going to be a day that I pull a 6 or an 8 into a change room
Yep.
and it doesn't fit. There will, like, it just happens. The store that I go to could just be
As I say,
bullshit.
every store
Or
is different in
I don't
sizing.
know, maybe
You
I'll
blow
gain
it.
a couple of pounds here and there. But there will be a day, and I think that I haven't dealt with that internally.
Right.
And my therapist does a great job of saying, like, what we resist persists, which was mainly in her communication to me about anxiety and stuff that I avoid at work. But she was like, anything that you try to just, like, shove away and think that it's
It's
just
coming back.
vanished, it
It's
has not vanished. It's there. And so I haven't really thought about any of my issues with gaining weight or with weight or any, like, it's just like it melted off and life is great and I'm so fucking happy and woo hoo 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 hoo. And then 2 years comes and you get a swift kick in the teeth and
mhm.
it's like, what if I gain this all back right now? I'm eating a lot more than I used to be able to. Am I exercising as much as I should? And there will come a point that I grab a size that should fit
Yep.
and that size does not fit. And I don't think I'm mentally prepared to handle that because when you're obese, that is
Yep, that is the
monumental.
that is the worst feeling when the size you were for so long all of a sudden doesn't fit and it's gone up. That is like your worst
And I know
nightmare.
that skinny people feel this too, and please
Yep.
don't get me wrong, but to me right now, it's not as hard to be like, "Well, I'm not an 8 anymore, I guess I'm a 9 or I guess I'm a 10." There's such a psychological fuck when you're like, "Cool, I'm a 2X now.
I'm at
Fuck."
24. I was at
Like
22 for a year and a half, and all of a sudden now I needed the
22,
24.
24,
It's
you
such a
know?
kick to the gut. Yeah.
It is. So there's a lot of good that comes from losing weight. Like, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, I love shopping now. The
Yeah.
fact that I can go, and that's the other thing that
You can go anywhere.
more like, if I could give advice to people listening, there's a world that you can get sucked into where you mourn everything,
Mhm.
where you mourn the loss of food,
Yep.
where you're going to mourn how you used to be treated. Um, you could stay there forever. It kind of reminds me of Never Ending Story. Like, you want to be stuck in the pit of despair,
Yeah.
like, just go ahead and sit there. So there are definitely times where I could say it's not fair that I couldn't go to any store I wanted, and it's not fair, and it's not, and, like, I get that.
Life's not fair.
But I also wanna remind myself that, like, I'm allowed to celebrate though, and
Yeah.
I'm not celebrating and putting anyone down. I'm not celebrating and holding fat acceptance behind. Like, there's so many thoughts that go through your head when you celebrate that you can shop anywhere now, and you almost feel guilty, at least I
Yeah.
do, when I'm like, "I can shop anywhere now, and it's awesome."
Yeah.
And there's a little voice in my head that goes, "Yeah, well, what about all the people that can't? And this, this is bullshit that other people can't." And I don't disagree, but I also have to try to remind myself that, like, I have to celebrate my wins. I have to
Yeah.
enjoy this
It's
life that
hard
I
to
worked
find the
really hard to
balance.
build.
It's true, it's funny you say that because when I went shopping for jeans for the first time, um, after surgery because I just that skinny pair that you keep in the drawer for one day, and
Mm,
that pair became too big,
too
and I
big.
was excited to go shopping,
Mhm.
but then it was funny because I was at the back of the store in the plus size section, and there were some other ladies back there, and I remember I tried on a couple pair, and it's like, you get the big size, and then it's too big, and then you go down a size, and then it's
Mhm.
too big. And I got to the point where the sizes I was grabbing at the back were all too big. And I thought, "Holy shit, like,
You're
I
not plus
can go
size.
to the front." But then walking to the front past the other women who had just seen me take all those clothes in there and come back and now be like, "Ooh, look at me, I'm going to the front." I
Uh,
felt bad for being so happy and excited
yes.
to go to the front because I
Yes.
felt like I shouldn't be there. It was like imposter syndrome. Like I felt like I didn't belong. I felt like I shouldn't be there. And it's like you're mourning yourself. You're mourning the version of you who you have known for so long, who you have become almost, I'll say, complacent with,
Yeah.
and who you became so good at hiding and just being complacent and okay with where you
Yeah.
are and who you
And
are.
I
And
think
now you have to find out, like,
you
who
do.
am I really, right? Like,
Yes.
now that I've shed this weight,
Oh boy.
who am I really? Like, do I really like all black clothing, or did I just wear that because
Nope.
I was stupid and thought that it made me look skinny, right?
Yep.
Do I really like this? Am I really comfortable in this? Like, I flying would only wear tights. Well, once I finally wore tights. I went a long time without wearing tights because I thought fat people couldn't wear tights.
Uh,
And then I wore tights, and I remember for work, I would travel and be like, "Hey, I'm flying, I gotta put tights on." And now I wear jeans more than I wear tights,
yep.
which is unheard of.
All the
I
time.
flew and traveled in jeans, and I remember sitting on the plane looking down at myself being like, "Who are you? Like, this is not it's cool. Yeah, but who are you? Because never would you have gone on a 4-hour flight in
Nope.
jeans." So, it's exciting and it's fun, but it's also kinda scary because who you thought you were, you're now questioning
Yeah.
a lot of that.
And there's like you raised a good point about like walking past people.
Yeah,
Because like we obviously went back there because in our mind, um, that's where we needed to be, right?
right.
But all other people see is a fundamentally skinny person
Yeah,
coming into a section that it's like, what the fuck are you doing in this section? And then you sniff
right?
around the section and then you fuck off back to the section you're supposed to be in. And
Yeah.
all I can think about, and it's hilarious because we go from being obese where we're like, everybody's looking at us and thinking we're fat slobs to
Mhm.
now me thinking those women are going to think I'm a stuck up fucking bitch. Like
Right,
they're going to think that I'm making fun of them or
right.
that, and like I do, that's how I feel when I'm in there
Yeah.
where I'm like, I'm not allowed to be excited that I found something small
Yep.
because they are thinking this skinny bitch.
This
Because I remember being obese and thinking, why are you back in this section?
Oh my
Get
god, I would judge people for that all the time, be like, "You are
This is
too
not
skinny to be
your
back here,
section,
lady."
honey. Yeah,
Right?
or when I'd overhear
Yeah.
them complaining that like, "Oh god, they only have mediums, there's no smalls left," and I'd be like, "Cry
Go to the
me a
front.
goddamn
Yeah.
what a
Get
hard
out of
life."
my section. This is my
Yeah,
section.
and now,
Yeah.
now I am that person, like, there was,
Right.
and it was funny because my mom, God bless her, laughed about it, but we were out somewhere and I was like, "Oh," like, and I didn't even mean to do it, I didn't, but I went, "Ugh, all they have left is plus sizes. Like, there's nothing my size." And she was like, Jesus Christ, Hannah, say it a little louder. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like, ugh. And
Ugh.
I like laughed a little in the car. And I was like,
Right?
that is so fucking mean of me to have said that. And I didn't mean it against any, I just meant like, there was nothing on the sales rack that I could buy.
Right. I just
Um,
wanted a deal.
but
Yeah.
now that's like, that's what goes through your head, right? Is like, there's still
Yeah.
joy. Don't get me wrong. We're not focusing on
No.
all the good things. There's still joy in this body.
Totally.
And I feel guilty sometimes saying how happy I am to be skinny, because I'm going to be very honest with you. I much prefer the way I'm treated now. I
Oh
much
god, yeah.
prefer being able to shop anywhere I want to shop. I love being able to order from any store and order these sizes. However, what has come with that is way more unwanted attention than I've ever been comfortable with.
Yep,
I'm actually almost treated more stupidly than I have before, as if they think I'm just kind of a vapid idiot.
yep,
Versus when I was fat and they didn't look at me attractively, they had to listen to what I was saying. I'm kind of treated like an idiot now,
yep.
which kind of bothers me, to be very honest with you. I'm followed and have more attention now than I do not like. I get random people coming into messages or saying really creepy fucking things to me.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I'm glad I have Bo. I'm very
Yep.
glad I have Bo. And there's guilt.
Yeah,
It's almost like, I guess I'll say survivor's guilt, but boy, the guilt that I put on myself. And I had a really wonderful friend reach out about the comment I made about donating clothes.
yep,
In one of our later episodes, I said, like, I felt so bad offering my clothes to my friends after I lost weight because I thought they felt like I was saying they were fat.
right.
And she reached out and was like, you should never feel bad about that. Like, you are like, there is nothing wrong with what you did.
I felt
And I
so
was like,
awkward messaging a
there
few people.
there's so much guilt that I have about
Yes.
celebrating finding something in my
Yep.
size, or being in that dress store and complaining that they didn't have an 8. And oh my god, and the store wouldn't close all the way, like, because I would have hated those women. And then, there's guilt that I don't know what my body looks like, so I do
Yep.
go and grab the wrong sizes because
Totally.
I know what
You
Fat
know,
Hannah would have done. Fat Hannah would have been, A, miserable that she was shopping,
I was gonna say
miserable
just wouldn't have
there.
shopped.
And
Yeah,
she would have had one. I would have had one size that I could have chosen from that they probably didn't have, and I would have seen this woman complaining that, "Oh, she's actually a size 8, not a size 10."
I'm gonna
Bless
punch her in the
her.
face.
Right? And the thing
Yeah.
is, though, I don't see this body. I
No.
can't see what I look like. My friend kept saying when we
Yep.
were on vacation, 'cause she helped me dress shop, "Oh my god, like, you're really skinny." And I was like, "Shut the fuck up. No, I'm
Right?
not. I'm bloated as fuck. I just ate a cinnamon, I'm fat as shit." And she was like,
Yep.
"No, you're not listening. Like, you're really skinny." And I was like, "First of all, I'm a size
You
8.
don't
That's
see
fat
it.
as fuck, son." I'm like, "I
No,
don't see it."
you don't.
So, I'm probably able to wear clothing that's probably smaller than I am right
Yep.
now. Sure. But the guilt that I feel when people see me take a
Yeah.
size that's not my right size, and because I know what I would have been like as an
Yeah.
obese person, I would have been like, "Oh my god, get this skinny fucking idiot out of here.
Right?
Look at her trying on a size 12. Who does she think?
Right.
What are you
Well, and then
doing?"
I felt like an idiot when I was shopping for jeans, and this bless the associate's heart, she doesn't know my backstory, but she made me feel
Bless
like an
your
idiot
heart.
too. But I went to the front of the store then to look for jeans, and I can't remember if I talked about this, but for like, plus sizes come for anyone who doesn't know, plus sizes come in like 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. They come in like numbers. Real jeans, as I'll call them, because usually plus size jeans are stretchy and they're not real jeans. They're full of, because apparently they think that fat people only want stretchy jeans and jeggings. So I went to the front of the store to buy jeans,
Gross.
and I right, I had not purchased a pair of jeans that were in inches since I was a child. And so when I went to this front, I was looking for like the 14s, the whatever sizes, and it was all like 32 by 30 and 34 by 30. And I just stood there and I was like, I don't know. I don't know what this is. Like, I don't know how to do this. And the lady came over and she's like, "Can I help you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm just trying to find some jeans, I'm just shopping." And she kind of looked at me. She's like, "Well, they're right here. Like, are you looking for a particular one?" And I was like, I don't know." And she's like, "Well, what size are you?" And I was like, "I don't know." And so she
Yeah.
kinda looked at me and I was like, and I said to her, I'm like, I've only ever shopped, like, in the plus size." And she looked at me, she goes, "Well, just grab your size." And I was like, "I don't understand. Like, I
I
don't
don't get
know.
I know
Like,
I
I
hate
don't know
the
what a
inch
34
sizing.
is. I don't know what a 36." Like, and I felt so dumb. But then I was
Yeah.
like, "Steph, you haven't bought a pair of jeans that's listed in inches since you were probably 10 years old. Like,
I
talk
mean,
English."
I did the same thing at Levi's. I
Mhm.
was like, I looked at my mom and I was like,
"What do
"What
I
the
do?
what
What
the
do I
shit?"
do?"
And she's like, "I don't fucking know." And I was like,
Yeah.
"You're no help. Like,
No,
what am I doing here?
I looked at
Like,
the
I
things
don't."
they gave me, and I was like, I shouldn't have to stand here and be like, "So here's my story. I used to be really fat, And now I'm
And
not
now
like,
I'm not.
I shouldn't have to, but I felt so dumb. And then part of me was like, well, maybe I should just go back to the plus size because that's what I know. Like,
It's just like I get it because I was just there, which is really funny. I was just buying Levi's jeans and, like, that was the thing I was super excited about, like, first time getting Levi's jeans and, like,
yeah.
this is a big deal for us. So,
Mhm.
yes, I'm gonna put it on Instagram and then really consider my life choices later about bragging too much about weight loss because I feel like it's gonna jinx me. Um,
But it's
I
at
had to Google
first,
it. I'm sitting there on my phone being like,
yeah,
"Okay, so, like, I
I don't know.
don't
I just,
know,
like,
but
grabbed
I think
3
I'm,
and
like,
went
a
to see what happened.
this, but maybe I'm a this," and then
Yeah,
I'm, like, in this in-between stage. Is there an in-between? Like,
yeah.
yeah, I
It's
remember just being like
such a mess.
and they look at you like you're an idiot for not
The
knowing,
look
and it's
she
like,
gave me, I wish I could have taken a photo. So I
I
literally
did
just grabbed 3
just it's
and
like
went to the back and was like, "I guess we'll find out."
100% I did the same thing. I was like, "I don't fucking know what I'm doing
No.
here." And then I didn't realize real Levi's have no zipper. They have the button closure, and I was like
See, I didn't know that either.
I immediately went to put it on, and before I pulled it on, I was like, "I'm gonna hate this. This is gonna be the worst. It's gonna
Yeah.
buckle and pull." And then I was like, "Oh, this is kinda cute. It's kinda cute.
This has gone
Kinda looks
nuts.
cute. Kinda like this." But I just it's when you're obese, everything is about your size.
Chairs,
You
cars,
know that
everything.
number ingrained, and now it's almost like I don't even have to think about it, so I just don't know, and
Yeah.
maybe it's ignorance, but it's just like, I just kinda go in and go, "I don't know, something like this, I guess." Like, dress shopping was really like, "Whoa, okay."
Yeah.
I keep pulling the wrong things, and, like,
Yeah.
I did end up with, like, a super cute dress I can't wait to show everybody
Nice.
in, 2 weeks-ish when I go to the wedding, but,
Love it.
and I picked something okay, non-scale victory time. I
Yep.
picked something with no sleeves.
Nice. I don't see, that's where I'm like, I don't know if I'll ever hit that day.
Dude, I said I never would. I went into that
No.
store and only looked at sleeved dresses, which, by the way, looked
Nice.
matronly as balls, and I was like, I don't think this is the right look for this is making me look like I'm 50."
That's
And
awesome.
they recommended, like, you should get a high neck,
Yeah.
without shoulders, and I was like, "Oh my
No.
god, no, I don't wanna draw attention to my neck. Are you kidding?" And they're like, "Yeah, you do. You should." And I was like, "Okay." So I got this
Yeah.
high neck, sleeveless, like, it looks like
Nice.
it's a '50s dress, like, it's tiered and it's pretty and I was like,
Oh,
"Oh,
crap. I can do this.
okay. Okay, I guess." And, like, then I started trying on sleeveless dresses nonstop, and I was like, "Oh, this is a good look for me." Like,
Right?
"Oh, that oh,
Yeah.
okay." And, like, I kept asking, like, "My arms are too big, though, like, they're too big." Like,
Yeah.
I c and then my friend was like, "Your arms are literally a normal person's size." And I was like,
Oh. Like, you
"Alright, so I guess
don't
I'll
see
try this
it,
style on." So,
right? But you
yeah,
don't
that was a great
see it.
non-scale victory to be like, "This will be my first time wearing anything sleeveless out in public
Amazing.
at all."
Amazing. I don't think I will ever hit that point. I don't think. Just the way my arms are and the way that, like, the loose skin is all I have always had, like, really dangly bat wing gross arms.
Oh, same.
And now that the loose skin is coming, I don't know. I don't think I'll ever get there. Who knows? We'll see. I did try on a pair of shorts in a fitting room. I didn't buy them, but even the fact that I took a pair off the rack into the fitting room and put them on has never happened before. So
Mhm.
maybe this summer I will be in a pair of shorts. We'll see.
Never
But
say never.
you can't see past it. Like I got Devin, I kept poor Devin, bless that man. When we were away, I said to him, I need you to take a picture of me that's good. He's such a bad picture taker. Like
Oh, no.
men are bad picture takers. They don't get angles.
Oh,
They don't understand, like,
no.
right? And so I said to him, take a bunch, take different angles because I just need one because I wanted to post about hitting 100 pounds for my birthday, but I needed a good photo. And so he took some photos, and every photo he took, when he would hand me my phone back, I'd look at it and be like, "Nope, nope, nope." And I deleted them. And we literally stood there for so long on this stupid hike trying to take a picture.
But
And so finally he got so mad. He's like, "Steph, you don't see it." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "You look at this photo." He's like, "You're half
yeah,
the person. Like, shut up and take your photo." He's like, "I'm not taking any more. Finish our hike, get back to the hotel, the Airbnb, and then sit down and look at the damn photos." But he's true because then when I put it side by side with last year's photo, then I was like,
yes.
"Oh, okay."
I
To
think that
look
makes
at
sense when you
yeah,
compare
yeah, to just look at yourself. You don't see you don't see the new you. Like, I still see
the
the
old you,
old body.
but I'll also say that this is a big deal for us. So, like, I
Yeah,
think you wanting multiple photos makes sense because this isn't just a photo for us, you
right.
know? This isn't just me standing here looking cute, which, like, by the way,
Yeah,
give it time. Like,
yeah.
it's not until recently that I learned how to actually stand in a photo because we're
'Cause
not used to that.
we've
And
never
we
done
didn't
it.
switch them. Yeah. So you
Yeah,
should see what my camera roll looks like from last year to this year. They're like 20 photos versus the 2 or 3 I need to take now because, oh, my hair was a little weird or my eyes
right.
wonky, right? But
Yeah.
the photos matter more to us now
Oh gosh,
because
because 'cause we're in them.
we've never had this before.
No.
So I would almost say, like, I see what he's saying and I get it.
Yeah.
And yes, when you compare it to last year, it's really easy to go, "Whoa." But the thing is, like, we're looking at right now and trying to make sure that we capture the best photo because this is so huge
Yeah,
for us. This
yeah.
is monumental. It's almost less of a I look fat, then I need to look as like the best I can
Mhm.
because wow, this is such a huge deal for me. And that eventually fades where
Right.
you're like, oh, now I can snap photos like a champ
It
and
becomes
cool
the
like
norm.
yeah, like the
Yeah.
bachelorette party photos that I shared, like we literally stood there and took photos and that's it. Nor like in the past, it would be, can I see it? Can I look at it? Can I see? Oh,
Right?
can
No,
you not
we need a
post
new
that
one.
because
No, we need a new one.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I was like, "Wow, I could post all like, they're all amazing, I'm so happy."
yeah.
But I yeah, so I would say yes, when you compare it, yeah, but in the moment,
No,
no. Be
we're
be
so hard
James
on ourselves.
Cameron, require reshoots, be anal, be, Annie Leibovitz over here, all right? Like, get the
Right.
lighting out, I want 7 angles, let's go, like,
Yep.
this is huge for us because we've never had this
No.
before,
The
so
amount this is the first
we
time
want
we've gone on a
perfection.
trip where I am in not all of them, but almost all the photos. Like, I took photos of just the girls, and I took a couple of, like, Devin with the girls, but I actually am in photos from our trip,
Mhm.
which doesn't happen. Like, when Devin and I would go away, I'd take a lot of photos of him, maybe, like, one selfie and then a lot of scenery. But this is the first trip where I could actually print and frame photos that include myself, which
Yeah.
is not the norm.
No, and the thing is, like, what's funny is when we would take photos in the past, people would go, "Oh, come on, you look fine. Like, you
Oh,
look great, you look really good in it," and, almost be annoyed we wanna take
right?
several, and when you're skinny and you're thin, it's not the eyes are not rolled anymore. It's like, "Yeah, of course we'll take another one. Let's take a bunch. Let's take a bunch." Like, it's so different now when photos are being taken that, like, no one is rolling their eyes or exhausted that we want multiple photos or we wanna look at them,
Yeah,
and it's never, "Oh, but you look great, you look fine." It's like, "Oh, what would you like it to be like?" "Yeah, sure." You want it okay." Like, it's
mhm,
even taking photos is completely different. Like, it was almost like I was exhausting people by wanting to retake them because
yeah,
it's as if they were saying, "You're not gonna look good no matter what we do
right?
with this, like, just take the fucking
I was gonna
photo."
say, just
And
take what you get because that's all there is.
yeah, and
Yeah,
now it's like, that's just what people do.
yeah. I think
So
yeah, I think it goes back to and it's not no fault of people, but I think you assume you lose weight, everything's gonna be good, you're gonna be super happy with who you are, with what you see, life's gonna be super easy. But
mhm,
again, like so many other things we've talked about, so much of this is mental. There is physical, and there are things like fitting on the airplane seat without encroaching onto somebody, not needing a seatbelt. I didn't have to pack my seatbelt extender with me this time. I didn't
right?
even have to think about it. There are great physical things, or like the fact that I could do the 2-hour hike with the family. And yeah, there was a point at the top when the elevation hits you, and I was like, okay, mom needs a break for a second. But the fact that I could do the 2-hour hike with the kids and still do another activity in the afternoon, and that we were actively doing like yes, physical changes are great, and there are a lot of physical changes, but so much of this is mental and trying to figure out how to navigate the world in a smaller body and be okay with it and be comfortable
Yeah,
with it and excited about it and figuring out who that new person is. Like when I emptied out my closet, it was sad. Like, I thought I was gonna be really excited to get rid of
I get that.
garbage bags of clothes, and I was, but the more I pulled out, the sadder I got, and I was like, this is my life. This is memories, this is who I was, this was my comfort, my big, bulky, black clothes, and it's interesting because now the last 3 shirts I've bought have all been color, and I
Wow.
haven't even but it didn't even cross my mind. Like, normally, I would see color and right away just, nope, it's not black. I just immediately went for the color. So try figuring out who you are as this new person. It's fun, but it's also kinda scary because you don't know.
Yep. It's going to be normal to have high highs and low lows. It's
Yep.
going to be normal to love the attention, notice the change, love the, and it is okay for there to be a moment where you're like, something about this is just sucks. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. There is going to be that, but don't get stuck in the mourning period. Don't get stuck in how unfair it might be. Like, absolutely advocate and try to change that where you can, but, like, you still need to celebrate the great things that you were able to achieve, and so, I don't know how to word it eloquently, but, like, just don't get stuck in how shitty some of it must have been for your former self,
Right.
right? So, don't get too hung up on the past, try to move past it, but yeah, just and they'll tell you this in surgery if you have a good program. Be prepared because things change. People treat you
Right.
differently, friends treat you differently, comments are different. And this is crazy to say, people are almost rooting for your failure.
For
Probably not
sure.
everybody, but like people want you to gain the weight back and fail. When you were fat, it was again, there was like an invisible layer to it where if you were, they really weren't saying things to your face and
Yeah.
weren't commenting on things or other stuff. But now that you're skinny, everybody has a very large opinion on things and
Yep.
they're, keeping an eye and they're critiquing and they're criticizing. And there's just, yeah, there's more weirdness. And I think the
Mhm.
other thing is you, you get stuck in this weird, I want to tell everyone my story because then they'll be more impressed with me when they look at me
Right.
loop that you kind of have to get over as well. You can't possibly tell every single person you meet that you've lost X amount of weight and they
Excuse
should be really
excuse
happy
me?
with how great you are now. So you
Yeah.
kind of have to get over that hang up too, that there is going to be a time that somebody still calls you fat, even though
Yeah.
you've lost X amount of weight, or it doesn't think you're, as thin or attractive as maybe you think you are. So there are weird nuances and new things because for most of us this is the first time in our entire lives we've ever navigated being skinny, being traditionally what society deems as skinny. So it is a new journey. There's a lot of great things that happen, but then yeah, there's creepiness, there's
Mhm.
awkwardness, there's a lot of self-guilt, there's mourning, but there's also still joy and firsts and excitement. And I think it is okay to acknowledge that it's unfortunate not everyone gets this, but that you can still find joy in how you're being treated now.
Yeah. It's a
Give
big
you
learning.
permission to find joy.
Yeah, it's a big learning experience, right? And it's just like I said, it's a lot of firsts for us that I think you don't we don't think about, other people don't think about. So it might seem silly some of the things that we celebrate sometimes, but it's stuff that we've never experienced before. We've never got
Mhm.
to feel what it's like. We've never got to have that moment. Um,
No,
so yeah, I think there are like I said, there's a lot of joy, there's a lot of positives, but there's going to be some up and downs, and that's okay. And I think as long as we take the time to acknowledge the downs, learn from them, move on from them, and continue to grow from them, then that's just part of the healing journey, and it's going to happen. But yeah,
yeah,
it's going to be interesting over the
it
next
is.
while.
Enjoy the journey of a thinner body and just enjoy and seek help where you need to seek help and talk to people about things that you need to talk about. You can always come chat with us about it because listen, we get it. We get how creepy it is now that I find men watching me while I'm out and it's like, kind of wish I was 300 pounds so that you couldn't pick me up and take me with you. Like,
Right? It was like
glad,
an it was like
glad I
having
have
armor
Bobo.
on. It was like having armor on.
Yeah, it
Like that
was kind
safety
of like
shield,
it was nobody's really gonna fuck with me,
right?
because but now it's like, "Oh, man, please don't come talk to me. Like, don't do this." So, I'm glad I have Bo, and it hasn't been that bad. It's not like, I've had any scary encounters or anything. It's just obviously being more obvious, and
Yeah.
you have to live your life kind of in a different way than you did before. And that's something we'll talk about in the coming episodes as well.
Mhm.
We covered what it's like to look skinny, but we'll definitely cover what is life like now that you are skinnier in terms of preparing to go out to eat, preparing to go on a vacation, just like not being able to take a bunch of days off of exercising. Like, I think there's just like there is a new norm as a bariatric patient that unfortunately, we believe you have to follow.
Yeah.
Um, are there people on TikTok who disagree?
You
Yeah.
betcha.
Did we call one of them out and then she happened to
You
see the video and then make a yeah, that happened.
yeah.
Um,
Guys, we got
but
our first hater.
we do, who, yeah, realized that we were critiquing the fact that, they skipped all their steps and
Oh, I
moved
wonder if
straight
they're
into
gonna listen to
surgery. They
this.
shouldn't. Well, if they do, they do. I'd like to have them
We
on and
haven't
discuss with them.
and you know what? To be fair, like we have said, we have not called people out by name. We don't
Nope,
we don't
never
bash
will,
people by name. We will not do that.
ever.
If people assume or think we're talking about them, that's fine. But we
You
this
don't
is
know.
just our these are our opinions, right? And there's gonna be people who disagree with us, and that's okay.
Yes.
And you might disagree with us some episodes, and you may agree with us on others, and that's fine.
Totally fine.
And
And we're just saying
let
we
us
wouldn't
know.
personally
Like
do that.
yeah. We have our own journeys and our own thoughts, and if that's not what aligns with somebody else, then that's fine, and they can do their journey, and they can think what they want. But yeah, we got our first official official does that mean, like, we've made it?
We might have made it because I almost left TikTok over it, and then Steph was like, "Don't leave TikTok, it's fine." And I was like, "Okay." But
You're allowed to have your own opinions and your own
here's the
thoughts,
thing,
right?
we're posting all of this publicly.
Yeah.
If you are gonna be on social media talking to people and it's not a private account for just your friends and family, then
You
you
have to take
absolutely
it.
are open to opinions.
Yep.
Now, no one should be slandered or, harassed or abused, and we will never support that from any of our followers
No.
or ourselves. However,
We can
yeah,
disagree with
people are
you.
absolutely allowed to have opinions about it and disagree strongly about things that you're posting publicly because you have to understand you are also influencing people, and if we really don't believe it, then yeah, and we didn't stitch it to her or anything. I
Nope.
just put out a
Names
little
were
video
never
saying,
mentioned.
I know nobody's name because to be honest, this person has a it's not about you, honey. You're one of like 15 people that I have seen do
Oh,
this.
there's
And
so many.
my video was about collectively, I'm very tired of seeing influencers going on and ranting about not following the rules, skipping steps. And we're not talking like, oh, I
I use a
started eating a
straw.
day before. It was I'm skipping months of what I'm supposed to be doing, or I'm eating
Full
all
on
these fried mozzarella
stages.
sticks. And I'm just not going to tell my doctor I had the mozzarella sticks. It's fine. It's not fine. Or, I'm eating Doritos every day for lunch, but like, who cares because I'm still losing weight? Like, do what you want to do, but we're going to put out videos saying, here's why we think that's probably not going to work out well for others is that eventually the weight loss stops and then eventually it comes back on.
Yeah.
So that's why we want to do an episode about not just how you look skinnier, but like how do you actually maintain and what does life
Mhm.
look like now? Because life for Steph and I is lots of exercise that there are
Yep.
days we don't want to do it. It
I'm
is
so sore.
meal prepping, it's counting calories, it's
Yeah.
making those tough decisions that like I can't have that. No, I'm not
Every
ordering
day of
that
work. Every day of
every
work.
day.
Yes,
Every
the
day.
weight comes off, but you can
Yep.
tell when you follow the rules and do what you're supposed to, it sure as heck comes off a lot faster and you
Mhm.
feel better. But that's just it, right? We're putting ourselves out there, we're being vulnerable, and we know that with that, there's going to be criticism, there's going to be people that don't agree, and that's
And you're
fine.
allowed to disagree with
Yeah,
us.
and you
You're
can
allowed
tell us that. Like, if you want to chat about something, by all
to do it.
means, you're allowed to message us and say, "Hey, guys, not really on the same page as this or this," and tell us why,
Yep,
and tell us what you think. That's what we're here
and that's
for,
fine.
because everybody's journey is different. But at the end
Yes,
of the day, we're here to talk about our journeys, what we're
our
feeling, what we're
beliefs.
seeing, what we think,
Yes.
and hopefully you enjoy it.
And we're trying to invite guests on and back stuff up with like talking to dietitians and our doctors. Like often we will talk with our clinic or our
Yeah.
doctors before we do an episode and we'll check things and we're trying to make sure that yes, we'll bring our own opinions, but we're trying to also base it in a bit of reality and fact as well so that it doesn't just sound like us harping
We
on
want this to
people,
be a
but
resource, right?
um yeah, our only ask of you guys, and you've been phenomenal, so keep
Yeah,
it up. We don't harass and bully people, but we can absolutely disagree. We can
totally.
absolutely say, Steph and Hannah, I don't think you should be using a straw, and here's why. Or
Yeah.
I don't agree with your calorie counting, ideology, and here's why. Like, and
That's
that's
cool.
that's totally fine. We're not gonna be like, get out of the group. You can't listen to us anymore.
Blocked.
We're gonna listen. We've had lots of people reach out and say, I know how you guys feel about paying for surgery, but I paid for it and it's been awesome. And we've
Yeah.
been so supportive of them. Like, good. That's a good thing. Like,
Yeah.
good for you. Like you are succeeding at this. Like, again, I think if you're going to be out and publicly talking about this, in the nicest way, you might need a bit of a thicker skin because I think people should, um, there
Challenge each
should be
other.
healthy discourse because
Yeah,
what I'm noticing is a lot of these TikTokers are just getting comments being like, "This is amazing. You're so great. So in love with this." And it's like, okay, should we like, I don't want to be mean to people. Like, I don't want to see anybody come in and be like,
but there
"Don't
should
eat that
be healthy
mozzarella stick,
debates
fat
about
ass."
things,
But could you like, what I hate about TikTokers, and I hope I never become one like this, is they can't have discourse. So, like, somebody couldn't come into that TikTok and go, "I don't know if you should be eating, like, deep fried mozzarella sticks a month out from surgery. You know, here's some reasons why that might not be good for you in the
you're
long
seen
run."
as
And
attacking.
yeah, and at least be, like, open to be like, "It worked for me and I'm cool with it, but, like, thanks for the feedback," right? But instead, they delete it or they go nuts or they post a video going, "Oh, people are hating on me," and blah, 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 and it's like,
They're
"Oh,
not.
man, have we gotten to that point in society where we can't have honest conversations
Yeah, we
about
have.
things?" Because, like,
We
you
have,
know, I would hope that people felt like they could have conversations with us, like, we're not gonna,
right?
but again, do it respectfully.
And, like,
I
there's
will
lots of topics that
absolutely.
Hannah and I don't agree on, and we
Oh
debate,
my god, we don't, personal trainers,
right?
can't think of other things off the top of our head, but there's, like, a million things
Sweeteners,
that Steph won't
artificial
tell me.
sweeteners,
Don't I nope, no. There's so much that we don't agree, like coffee, I want her back on coffee, and she's
right?
like, "No, I'm not." I'm
No,
like, "Back on the caffeine."
go on,
Um, but, like, there's a
innovate.
lot that Steph and I disagree
Yeah,
about,
but that's okay.
yeah. You guys have disagreed with my swearing, and, like,
Oh
you've
my
come
god,
out and told me
yes,
that, so, like, I've tried to tone it down because I do see where you're coming from, like,
right?
I don't want you to feel like we're being crass or crude, but also I have pushed back and said,
This
I
is who I
also
am.
do swear, like, it is my personality, so I'm not gonna coddle people, but I can definitely respect that it was maybe a bit overkill in the early days, so I don't think there's a world where you can just delete negative, like, it's not even negative comments, where you just blindly delete people that don't agree with you. You're never gonna grow as a person that way, and then also it's good to keep that there because there might be somebody who watches your video who goes, "Well, I thought my clinic said I couldn't do that."
Right,
And then they can see comments where people maybe say that exact thing and go, "Well, my clinic said
right.
no to this," and,
Like,
like, go through and see the logic.
to say that when people are commenting like this or trying to have a healthy discussion or challenging something, right away is seen as being
Bullying,
unsupportive of the bariatric
harassing.
community. It's
Yeah,
not being unsupportive of the bearish community. It's actually supporting each other by trying to give you maybe a different perspective or to help you because maybe there was confusion on what you thought you could do in your clinic and you couldn't. Maybe there was
yeah.
confusion around the order of the stages. It has nothing to do with not being supportive of the bariatric community
Not at
whatsoever.
all.
You
Maybe
know.
you don't realize that by skipping stages, you can cause like internal issues that you don't see. You don't know if your incision has ripped or swollen or has food stuck
Your
in it.
staples are
Um,
healed.
you also you you are brand new to this. Do wouldn't you want people who are 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years out to give you advice? Because there were people who tried to come in and say, you know, I'm just telling you right now, this isn't going to set you up for success. They flew off the handle. And this person then said, well, what do I know? I've only had 23 years experience with this. Like, you're filling your circle with people who are going to support your bad habits because ultimately people like to see people fail.
Yep.
And it's that's what worries me and why I always want people to gut check me, to bring me things I don't know, to help me grow. Because if I just surround myself with people who are like, yes, Hannah, you should order that bagel off DoorDash and you should eat that fudge. And but like I'll be back to
It's a
320 pound
slippery, yeah,
Hannah
it is a
and
slippery slope.
I'll look around and go, well, what the hell? So I agree with Steph. It's not supporting the bariatric community to blindly blow smoke up people's butts.
No.
What supporting the bariatric community looks like is, yeah, leaving encouraging comments, but then asking questions or sharing updates or help. Like,
Yep.
there's better ways to do it. I think Bypass Cass is a great example to look at here.
Agreed.
Her comment section is usually full of great conversation,
I was gonna say it's
recipe
discussion.
sharing.
And
Yes.
people do question things in those comments, but then advice is given,
Yeah.
discussions are had, and very much of, "Well, this is why I did it." And you'll see
Mhm.
people say, "Oh, cool. Okay, that didn't work for me, so I did it this way." Perfect.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Yep,
But that's what it should be about.
I agree. There's a reason our clinic told us, you're not allowed to use Facebook groups, specifically Facebook. Like that's the only platform they specifically called out. And they said because they've audited most of them and it's people who haven't had surgery, who failed at surgery,
Yep.
and who are creating what do they call it? Toxic positivity
Yes.
groups where it's reinforcing really bad behaviors. And they have seen enough people in these groups that have then failed
Yeah.
that like our clinic is literally
Yeah.
telling
The
everyone
first
you can't be on
question
Facebook.
when I had my
Literally.
6-month follow-up, the first question, so I had it, like, on the phone with the nurse, the dietitian,
Yeah.
and the social worker. The first thing they all asked me, each one of them, "Are you
Mhm.
in any Facebook support groups?" The very
Any
first
of them.
question, and when I said, "No," they all said, "Fantastic,
Yep.
please continue with that." And I
Yep.
said, "No, I will not be on those."
When I was in them, they didn't comment on Reddit. They
Yep.
didn't comment on TikTok or Instagram because I said, "Well, I'm following some Instagram people." Cool, great.
Yep, same with me, they all said, "Okay,
Get
fine."
out of Facebook. We don't want you in Facebook. They're not regulated. They're not good. Like they told me why.
Yep,
People are failing who are in those groups. They are spreading toxic positivity, which is basically like everything is fine and everything is great, and you do what you want to do, and you'll be really successful at this. And then you're not successful at it. So they're just kind of creating echo chambers of this gives me permission to do things I know I probably shouldn't be doing. And we're all guilty of it. Like
totally.
I do the same thing. I find reassurance in places where it's like, you know what? No, I'm not going to go seek permission to do things I'm not supposed to do.
Agreed.
So
Yep.
we'll cover a lot of this in
Mini rant for the end of the
many,
podcast
many other
episode.
episodes. And, hopefully we don't start a war on TikTok with other people that are blowing up on TikTok. I don't think it'll be a problem because we're not blowing up on
Right.
TikTok, you and I. So
Wah, wah.
yay. But yeah, lots of great topics coming up.
Yep,
Steph documented her vacation on Instagram. Go check it out. I'll document mine in 2 weeks when I'm in Nova Scotia. I've heard lobster is super high protein, so
there you
maybe I'll
go.
be having some lobsters on the beach in Nova
Oh,
Scotia. Who
shucks, that
knows?
sounds horrible.
Oh, darn, what a hard life.
Oh, shucks.
But yeah, we'll document more. Keep this great, awesome community going. We absolutely flipping love you guys
Yes,
messaging us on
thank you
social.
guys.
So keep doing it. If you want to help us blow up on TikTok, go forward there too. But we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram.
Yep,
Bariatric Banter podcast. Both of our personal accounts are linked from all of those as well. We will chat and answer all of your questions. You can always reach us and message us. And we'll see you guys next week for another episode. Like always, Steph, thanks for joining me.
thanks, guys. See you later.
Bye.